turn around, pick a bale of cotton now, jump down, turn around, pick a bale of hay.
Devised performance is necessarily improvisational in its nature. It's a response. The way we create in devised performance is responding to something. So that is an improvisational approach. It's a process that is inherently responsive rather than interpretive.
With devised work, the way you work determines the narrative. For example, for our show, working with the grain precipitated our choices. It really led us through what we ended up with. We really hadn't anticipated that. In that case, it's working with a substance was the trigger. Yeah,
so we don't know what we're going to be doing until we're working. Our ideas come from the material that we've chosen. And the reason you choose material is serendipitous. You think that intuitive. You take something and you think there's something inherently provocative or evocative about a substance or an image or a piece of music, something that stimulates or communicates with you in a contemporary way.
So the narrative is inextricably linked to the process in a way that is different than perhaps starting with an already existing story.
Which you know what the end is going to be before you have started work on the piece, whereas in a devised process, you don't know what the end is going to be. You're working from moment to moment, and then when you arrive at the end of your process, at that point you can actually start to interpret the material you've created, which is very, very different from knowing that the story begins here and the story must end there because it's in the script. Dancers, of course, are in the contemporary world devise their work. They begin with a movement idea. They begin with an image, and they work on that to see what kind of riches can be drawn out of it, rather than knowing in advance. Well, we have to get there, so we have to find out how to get there.
I guess what sums it is that without Jean-Yves, you know, like even if the choreography would be there without his music and what he adds to it, you couldn't say Holy Body Tattoo, basically. It's just that simple.
Mainly what we do is like we talk and, you know, we sort of kind of delimit what the piece is going to be talking about and, you know, what do we want, like what kind of atmosphere we want.
We go away separately, work, come back, and we just constantly tailor it. I think we drive him nuts because we're constantly going, can you cut out 4/8 here? And you're massacring his music. And he tries to be really patient with us.
But then they arrive at last minute and say, oh, can you add a minute? Oh no, a minute, that's a lot. It's like, you know, it's like, so I have, you know, structure-wise, I have to calculate what a minute is with like the tempo and stuff like that and figure it out. And then I either had like another part, sort of remix it and kind of redevelop it quickly.
I mean, we're very interested in transferring work to film because you just have so many more opportunities to let people into that world. Performing live is a very limited thing. I mean, they see everything, you know, or they only see it from the front, or whereas with camera we can, you know, let them really hopefully get in there and feel what it's like to be really tactile and close.
There is a tendency in sort of the contemporary performance landscape to work in a more interdisciplinary fashion. And because those disciplines like dance and music and visual arts and performance, because those artists are starting to work together, the process by which they create their work is also shifting, and shifting more toward devising the work as opposed to starting with a pre-existing narrative. Responding to the work more as perhaps a visual artist than as a storyteller. I think that the world is really opening up in terms of less Eurocentric work, work that's, you know, borrowing from other traditions.
Taking a performance piece from Japan, taiko drummers, and bringing them to Canada or to wherever they end up performing, and they perform all over the place, that will have an influence on the people who are devising performance in wherever you see a performance like that, and you think that's a remarkable, powerful performance. It affects you. It's an influence. So intercultural performance is basically responding to a global phenomenon, which is the presence of different cultures together, and it's in that friction, in that juxtaposition of difference, that something other is generated. So devised performance is a really open way to accommodate and to incorporate really different influences, different cultural influences, different formal influences, and it creates a panoply of spectacle.